Hello and welcome into today's edition of the Arizona State Sun Devils Insider Podcast. My name is Kevin Hicks and I am your lead beat writer for the Arizona State Sun Devils on SI. And I'm so grateful to be joining you on this Tuesday morning. We did not get a Monday edition of the podcast because of just feeling very under the weather. And it's unfortunate, but continue to push forward. And big week ahead for Arizona State athletics as a whole. Once again, the volleyball program is continuing their push to potentially compete for a national championship. The football program is currently still in the hunt for a Big 12 championship once again, even though they need some things to fall their way. And the men's basketball program is making a trip to Hawaii as of Tuesday morning to play the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors later in this week before they play in the Maui Invitational Tournament next week. The women's basketball program is playing on Saturday against UNLV. They're looking to move to 5-0 on the season and starting out Molly Miller's tenure as head coach in emphatic fashion. So obviously a big week for Sun Devil athletics. Uh, it's going to be a fun ride, and I'm so excited to be covering it all the way through for each and every one of you. But today, I kind of wanted to reflect on what was said by Kenny Dillingham in his weekly Monday press conference ahead of, sorry, the Week 13 battle against Colorado, the last road game of the season for the Sun Devils. And it's going to be an interesting matchup. Colorado is 3-7, so they are not fighting for their bowl lives anymore. Uh, Kind of a weird season for them. They started out pretty good. They actually had some impressive showings to start the season. They nearly beat Georgia Tech, who is a ranked team, to start the season. They uh, played a reasonably competitive game with Houston. They nearly defeated BYU. They defeated Iowa State about a month ago. So they've had some high moments, but as of late, it's mostly been low. Obviously, they lost 53-7 to Utah about a month ago, and 2 weeks ago they lost to Arizona 52-17. So, uh, by calculations, they allowed 52 and a half points a game over those two games, and then they lost to West Virginia in Week 12 when Arizona State was on a bye. Arizona State obviously took down West Virginia last week, so Colorado's kind of a mess. Their defense is all over the place. The last time their defense really stepped up in a big way was against BYU. Uh, and they still lost that game. They also have a lot of other roster construction questions beyond the defense. Their running game is still pretty non-existent. The main thing you have to look forward to as a Colorado fan is Julian Lewis, the freshman five-star quarterback who committed to Colorado, ended up spurning USC at the last minute. He's the starting quarterback for the rest of the season, and he played very well against West Virginia. So that is certainly something to watch for the Sun Devils. And um, now just going into the meat of the episode, talking about a couple of big things that Coach Dillingham said. I wanted to start out by Dillingham praising Deion Sanders once again. If you don't know the backstory between the two, Coach Dillingham and Deion have known each other for several years. Uh, if you didn't know, Coach Dillingham was the offensive coordinator at Florida State for a couple of seasons. I believe it was 2020 and 2021. And that was under Mike Norvell, who left Memphis. If you remember the Arizona State pipeline, Norvell and Dillingham coached together at ASU about a decade ago. Then Dillingham followed him to Memphis, and then he followed him to Florida State. He took a gap year at Auburn, and then he followed him to Florida State. And he recruited Shador because Florida State is Deion's alma mater. He made it a point to go after Shador as a recruiter, even when Deion took over the job at Jackson State. And Deion has had nothing but praise for Dillingham with how he handled Shador, with how he's such a professional, with how honest he is. Just everything that you hear about Dillingham got confirmed by Coach Sanders, and they have a lot of mutual respect for one another. They extended those pleasantries towards each other when the two teams last met up in Tempe in 2023 as members of the Pac-12. Colorado won that game 27-24, but both sides had nothing but good things to say about one another. And Dillingham once again emphatically stated that Deion Sanders has had an impact at Colorado that could be considered generational, essentially. Their enrollment rates have gone up. Their football program has improved, even if you're not seeing it this year necessarily. Last year was a peak of the program, one of the peaks that they've experienced over the last 20 years or so since winning Natty in the early 90s. Uh, Julian Lewis is a major building block. That's something to be excited about as a Colorado fan, and I really do believe if Deion continues to coach, that Colorado will find themselves back near the top of the Big 12 eventually. Whether it's next year, 2027, we shall see. But I 100% agree with Coach Dillingham about Coach Prime. He's just a guy that people want to play for, and you got to look past the rough patches and see what he's done beyond the surface. Colorado was a mess in 2022. They went 1-11. Jordan Tyson, who is now a star at Arizona State, as you all know, he was probably the lone bright spot of that team. But Coach Prime has revitalized a lot of intrigue in Colorado Buffalo football, and that leads me into my final discussion point of the show. Coach Dillingham was asked about essentially the different how the Big 12 has challenged him over the last 2 years because there are so many differing styles in the Big 12. Usually, Dillingham really made a point to say this. When you go to the Big 10, you know for the most part that it's going to be teams that ground and pound, uh, try and grind out victories, not necessarily shooting for style points. And that's changed a little bit with Oregon's high flying offense joining the conference with Ohio State and the Julian Say and Jeremiah Smith combo. There's a few exceptions, but Michigan is a really grinded out program still. Nebraska, there's a lot of teams that still have the old guard style in the Big Ten that has historically been known for. Same with the SEC. The SEC has a very defined play style, and that is changing a little bit, but there's still a lot of programs that really go by the script, and the Big 12 is not like that at all. He kind of went in detail talking about how he doesn't think that they faced a defense that plays a similar style this whole season, and offensively it's really the same as well. You look at a team like Utah, massive maulers at the O-line positions, a +1 attack. You know exactly what they're going to do most of the time, but it's very difficult to stop it. You look at a team like Houston, they have the +1 game, but it's nothing like Utah's +1 game. You look at Texas Tech. Texas Tech is nothing like the other teams that they played. They're a very balanced team, yet they're very explosive at the same time. Um, it's just the Big 12 is really underappreciated because there's so much innovation that goes on in the conference. You see, for example, with Utah, the way Utah's operating this year. Um, there's freshman quarterbacks like Bear Bachmeier that are absolutely taking the league by storm. You have the Sun Devils grinding out victories with really a roster that is playing a lot of two deep guys more than they normally would play due to injuries. Uh, just very strong competition, and you see it each and every week with the results that come in. And the last 2 weeks of the season are going to be very interesting for the Sun Devils. A road battle against a team that has spoiler on their mind, playing spoiler on their mind, and then an Arizona rivalry game to end the season with the chance to possibly play for a Big 12 championship. A lot's at stake. The Big 12 is going to have a wild finish for a second consecutive season, and I'm so grateful to be covering it for you. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in today, and I will see you all with another episode tomorrow.